Welcome to the La Follett's Virtual Tractor Show. Giving the state of affairs with the virus and stuff. Hey, guess what? We can't attend any tractor shows this year. But that surely doesn't stop us from getting some of our stuff out and playing with it. So we thought we'd make a little video on some of our stuff, and we'll put it out to all you guys for you guys to enjoy.
Yeah, so we went through, took some long shots, videos, then went through and did a little bit of description about each tractor, and tell you a little bit about it. We'll go in more depth videos later on over a course of time, but we wanted to give you a little bit of snapshot of what we got and a little bit of detail on each. But each one will have their own video one day, telling more details and giving more of a walk around. But this video is probably going to be long enough as it is, trying to upload with our internet. So
is this all we got?
No, we may show you some bonus footage coming up here of some other little projects that we got coming up here. So if we're filling it, we'll show you a couple other things. So stay tuned. This is my 1930 Model A Doodlebug. I call it a 30 because that's what sheet metal I happened to find to put on it. I don't know what year it technically is, because it's one of those ones we pieced together from a bunch of parts nobody else wanted. So the engine come out of that Doodlebug I unloaded 10 plus years ago with my H that you see me unloading off the trailer. That is the engine and the steering column from that. We drove all the way to Pennsylvania to pick that up. Paid $60 for that setup on eBay because I was cheap at that time, and I was cheap because I didn't have any money. Took us 5 years of gathering parts, bought Doodlebugs out of the woods nobody else wanted, cut and pieced and welded to get it to where you're at now. I don't know how we lost track of how many Doodlebugs and pieces of parts from other cars that nobody else wanted to put into this. It's got a mid-30s Wayne school bus seat on it. That's why it's slanted, if you can see that from the camera. That is a vintage piece. It's got all vintage tires on it. It's got fenders from I don't know what car. They were about another foot longer than what they were, but somebody sandblasted them, blew them full of holes. Nobody else wanted them, so I cut them down, put them on. I have no idea. They were huge fenders. I don't know where they come from. It does run good. Runs really nice for being stuck when I first got it. Somebody ran the timing dowel into the cam gear and froze the engine up that way. It's got a Mallory distributor on it. It's got a Model TT truck rear end. It's got a 3-speed car transmission. The front axle has been flipped over and somebody's reheated them to get the camber reset from being the front axle being flipped over, so that's why it sits a little taller in the front. It runs down the road pretty good, and it did do a little over 20 miles an hour. That's a lot faster than what I like to go, but it gets a little squirrely at that speed, but it will run right down the road. So we really enjoy this one because it was the first one we built, and then the bug kind of bit us, and then you'll see some other ones coming up, and we got more in the works.
This is our 1928 Chevrolet Doodlebug. It's all Chevrolet except for the rear axle, which is a Model T truck axle. This we found up at Fish Point Resort at the very southern tip of Saginaw Bay. It was really interesting going to pick this thing up, and it hadn't been running 30 years. It sat underneath a mulberry tree, and we got it going. It's one of our Doodlebug pieces that we take to tractor shows. This is our 1929 and a half Ford AA truck Doodlebug. It wasn't like this. We restored what was left of the wooden cab. This was found in a fence row in Carlton, Michigan, north of Monroe, and it was used to plow snow. It's a pretty much complete restoration as you see it now. with the exception of we restored kind of the original wooden cab on it. Very, very interesting piece. Has a lot of unique features on it.
This is my 1949 N. It's an early 1940. It's built in January. This has got a lot of features that are considered to be 39, but it's a 1940. This tractor here has a small generator, oilless governor, smooth axles, 4-spoke steering wheel, starter switch on the dash, starter button, smooth dog legs, the snap-in battery cover, 2 ribbed fenders. So it's got a lot of unique features, considered only to be 39, but this is built in early 40. Shortly after that, a lot of this stuff changed. It's got the aluminum grille on the front. That's reproduction. This has been a 5-year deal. We just got it done. We still got some tweaking to do to it, but this tractor fought us every step of the way, and it's still fighting us. But it does run good. We've been through a lot of it, so hopefully we get it out more next year. This is my 1940 Farmall H. This has been in early videos on my YouTube channel 10 plus years ago now. It is the same tractor. It looks a little bit different than it did there. We put a industrial loader off a John Deere, vintage John Deere tractor on it, Norton wide front. It's got an M&W PTO clutch, which I've demonstrated before. Other than that, really it's the same tractor. It's been the workhorse around here for a lot of years. It's in semi-retirement now. We got a newer tractor, but this old gal gets some work every once in a while when we need something heavy moved. I bought it from Romeo, Michigan, from a guy selling his dad's tractors. This was the first one he sold. Kind of a unique experience. They fed us before we left. For the tractor, they were kind of sad to see it go because this was one of the first ones they had that started the farm. From what I know, I'm the 3rd owner of it. They were the 2nd owners. They bought it from their uncle, who bought it new. So it's pretty original tractor, and I really enjoy it.
This is my 1953 Cub. I'm technically the 3rd owner of it. The second owner only owned it for a couple years. I bought it off of him. He's a family friend. We bought it off the original owner. This tractor is completely original. It's never been repainted. Still has the original tires on it. It came from Blissfield, Michigan. It still says up here, it still says Wilton Canablo, Blissfield, Michigan, 317 Adrian Street, phone number 56. So 1953 is completely original. I did a lot of work around here on the property for many years. Right now it's kind of in semi-retirement. We use it occasionally to do things with, but it took care of the grass and the driveway and did a lot of stuff around here for many years. I have owned this since 1988, so 32 some years. I think I've owned it just about as long as the original owner did.
This is my 1947 Farmall Cub. It's an early one. It's in the gray area of if it's a circle cub or not. Some people's told me it's a circle cub. Some people told me it wasn't a circle cub. I made it a circle cub because it's mine. I bought this, in high school from a teacher at the Votech Center. It was his dad's tractor. It didn't quite look like this. It was stuck. The engine was stuck in it. We got it unstuck, got it running, got it painted. It's starting to show its age a little bit on the paint, but I like it. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. This is the best I could do, but it still runs good. Just like the first day we got it running. We restored a Cub number 22 sickle bar mower put on it. We have used it a few times, cutting some taller grass. It's just a good old tractor.
This is our 1946 CJ2 Jeep. The 1946 was the first year for the civilian Jeep after the war. We bought this out of Jackson, Michigan, and the elderly man that owned it, his daughters wanted him to get rid of it because they called it the death trap. And it took a little bit more work after we got it from him. It's in survivor status mode. It runs good, drives good, has good brakes. We just decided to leave it like this because we kind of like it the way it is. And always wanted the CJ Jeep. And when I was a kid, my dad wouldn't let me buy one because he said they were death traps. Well, I guess I'm old enough now that we can actually own one. So we got one.
This is my 1945 Oliver 60. It's a barn find. I bought it out of an auction in Monroe, Michigan. Supposedly it come out of a barn. I didn't see the barn it come out of, but it was come out of a barn that kind of fallen down around it. It was in there for as long as any of the other family members could remember, 35 plus years. The engine was stuck when I got it. We took the head off. It had water all the way up to the top. It was froze many of times. The engine was junk in it. I bought another engine that turned out to be junk. Then trying to rebuild that one. That one was in better shape, but it still needed a lot of work. And then building that one, I found a running one out of a tractor the guy was parting out. The motor's a little tired in it, but it still runs like a top. Smokes a little bit, but for what this old tractor is doing right now, it's more than adequate. They told me it was running driving when their uncle drove it into the barn. I believe that. It had a brand new clutch in it. The radiator held water. The generator worked. The starter worked right off the bat. The gas tank was clean inside. It still had the original tires on the rear. Had some old tires on the front. But the reason I like this tractor, I could have had all kinds of Oliver 60s for less money that was restored, but I just like this particular Oliver 60 because it's barn fresh, it's unmolested, it's just the way somebody drove it in to the barn for the final day of work. This is my 1939 Farmall F20. I just bought this in February this year. From a estate sale online. I bought it off online where I didn't even get to see the tractor before I bought it. I seen pictures of it, said it, and then that's all I knew. Here's pictures and it's a Farmall F20. So I bought it, went down there, picked it up, had some other tractors there. This was probably one of the better ones there. It turned over, we got it home, tinkered with it for a few days. Wore my arm out both days trying to crank it, but we got it running. It still needs some tinkering, still a little fussy on running. It's not quite where I want it yet, but we'll work on that. We got some other things to do on it. Had to put all brand new tires on it. I was hoping to get it in for paint, tear apart and get it for paint this summer, but I don't see that happening. But in the meantime, we're still working on it mechanically to get it up to snuff. I've always wanted a narrow tread F20 in this year range with foot brakes and the cast center wheels because it's narrow. I can haul it a lot easier, and it's the F20 that's got all the modern updates on it. It's got fenders. That's what I liked about it. So hopefully we get this painted and looking like a respectable tractor here in the near future.
This is my 1937 John Deere A. I acquired this tractor in December of 1970. So coming up here in December, I will have owned this 50 years. Doesn't seem like it's been that long. I went through the engine back in the early 70s. I was just a kid at the time. My dad helped me. Other people helped me. We went through and rebuilt the engine at the time. My dad soldered the gas tank on this. I told Kyle, I said, I'll probably always keep this tractor because my dad worked on it. And if you could see somebody with a blowtorch and a soldering iron and a big stick of lead fixing a gas tank, that's what we did. This tractor, I'm the third owner. I bought it off Mr. Johnson here in town, and he bought it out of Hoyt Whelans at the time. And the original owner was Glenn Canarum down there, Ogden Station, Ogden Center Way, down there. Jim Opersall's dad cut down the steel wheels. So this tractor has a lot of Lenawee County connections. And back in the early 80s, I pulled with this. This tractor was quite known as a very good pulling tractor. I won numerous trophies with it. I think the best I ever pulled was 250% of its own weight. So over the years, it's done a lot of stuff. Right now, it's kind of semi-retired, and we just get it out every now and then and play around with it. Last paint job was 1980. Bruce Schultz painted it, and as you can tell, it's always been inside. Still got the original tires on it 50 years later. It never sets outside. It's always been inside. So I'll probably keep it for another 50 years if I can.